You ever catch yourself unlocking your phone without even remembering why you picked it up in the first place? Then just standing there like, wait, what was I doing? And then, almost automatically, you open Instagram anyway, as if your thumb has its own private agenda you were never consulted on. Yeah, that wasn't me using my phone. That was my phone using me. So I did something a little extreme. I quit my phone for 21 days. No scrolling, no quick checks, no, just replying real quick. That somehow turns into a 40-minute dive through people you don't even know, but suddenly care too much about. I locked it away, airplane mode, silence where the glow used to be, and I told myself it would be peaceful. It wasn't peaceful at first. It was strange, restless, almost like my brain kept glancing at a door that wasn't there anymore. Because the first thing that happened wasn't clarity or enlightenment. It was panic. Not loud panic, no sirens, no chaos, just a quiet, persistent sense that I was forgetting something important, even when absolutely nothing important was happening. And what shocked me most wasn't the craving itself. It was what my mind started doing to fill the silence. That's where I started noticing something interesting. There isn't just one you that emerges when your phone disappears. There are versions, states, psychological modes that switch on like hidden software running in the background. The first one I called the phantom scroller. This is the version of you that still reaches for a phone that isn't there. You sit down to relax, your hand moves instinctively into your pocket, and for a split second, your fingers expect glass. You catch yourself staring at empty moments, waiting for something to load that never will. Even your attention feels confused, like it's refreshing a page that no longer exists. Psychologically, this is conditioning at its cleanest. Your brain has learned a loop. Boredom equals phone, and phone equals reward. Over time, the loop becomes automatic. You don't decide to check your phone. You arrive at it without thinking. So when the device disappears, the habit doesn't. It keeps firing, like a ghost reflex with nowhere to land. On day 3, I remember walking into a room and forgetting why I was there. Not once, over and over. It wasn't that my memory was broken. It was that my attention had stopped sticking to anything long enough to form a clear thread. And that's when a strange thought hit me. Maybe my focus wasn't destroyed. Maybe it was fragmented on purpose. But then, once the phantom fades, another version shows up, the anxiety mirror, and this one is louder. It doesn't whisper, it questions. What if someone needs you? What if you missed something important? What if everyone else is moving forward and you're just paused, even though nothing has changed externally? Internally, it feels like you've been cut off from a pulse you didn't realize you were constantly syncing with. It's not logical, it's biological. This is your brain reacting to the loss of intermittent rewards. Notifications, messages, likes. See, tiny unpredictable hits of dopamine scattered throughout the day. Behavioral psychologists call this a variable reward system. It's powerful because it's uncertain. Your brain keeps checking just in case. I felt it most strongly around day 6, that almost ridiculous urge to just check something. Anything, not even a specific app, just the sensation of needing to open a door, as if the act itself would resolve a tension I couldn't name. There wasn't anything waiting for me. Of course there wasn't, but the feeling didn't care about logic. It was emotional withdrawal disguised as urgency. And if your phone has ever been at 3% battery and suddenly felt like your entire social existence was collapsing, you've met this version too. Then something shifts around the second week. Quietly, another version begins to emerge. The time reclaimer. This one feels almost suspicious at first, because suddenly, your day stretches, not in a magical way, but in a perceptual way. Time stops collapsing into micro-distractions. Mornings don't get swallowed whole by scrolling anymore. Waiting in line doesn't feel like something to escape. Even boredom changes shape. It stops feeling like a problem and starts feeling like space. I found myself doing small things without immediately escaping them. Drinking coffee without reaching for stimulation. Walking without turning it into audio consumption. sitting without needing to optimize the moment. From a neuroscience perspective, this is what happens when your dopamine system stops getting constant, unpredictable spikes. Your baseline begins to stabilize. And when that happens, time stops feeling chopped into fragments. But here's the twist. Life doesn't suddenly become exciting. It becomes noticeable. And that difference is unsettling at first, because you realize how much you were previously skipping. Still, not all of it is calm, because underneath that reclaimed time, something else starts to surface. The quiet resistance. This is where your mind stops being distracted and starts being honest. Old thoughts return, unfinished ones, conversations you avoided replaying, feelings you postponed. It turns out your phone wasn't just entertainment. It was also anesthesia. I remember one night around day 12, sitting in silence, realizing my brain wasn't bored. It was processing, and it felt uncomfortable, like mental stiffness slowly loosening. Psychologically, this is what happens when external stimulation drops and internal cognition rises. Your mind reclaims bandwidth and starts sorting emotional clutter, and slowly that discomfort becomes familiar, then tolerable. And somewhere inside that quieter space, another version appears, the observer. This is you, but slightly less reactive, more present. You notice things you used to pass over without registering. The pause before someone answers. The texture of silence. The difference between being alone and feeling lonely. On day 18, I sat on a bench and realized I wasn't trying to escape the moment at all. I was just there, fully inside it. No urge to document it, no invisible audience, no reflex to turn experience into content. And strangely, my brain didn't feel upgraded. It felt quieter, like a background hum I didn't know was always running had finally lowered. Now, does this mean phones are the enemy? Not really. Phones aren't the problem in isolation. The relationship is. But it does mean something more uncomfortable. Your attention isn't neutral anymore. It's trained, shaped, and pulled by repetition. And when you remove that influence, even briefly, you don't become someone new. You meet someone unfiltered. So I turned my phone back on after 21 days, and nothing dramatic happened. No flood of life-changing messages, no urgent notifications that reshaped my existence. Just the familiar pull. Except this time, I noticed it pulling, and that awareness changes everything. Because once you see it, it stops being automatic. It becomes something you can observe instead of obey. And maybe that's the real shift, not quitting the phone, but realizing your mind has different versions of itself. And your environment decides which one gets to speak the loudest. So tell me, if everything went quiet for a while, which version of you would surface first?